My name is Steph Rowe. I am an author, a writer, and a poet, but I'm also the founder of The World in Our Words, which is the first edition of a poetry anthology and collaboration. And this has 23 poets from all over the world, and it has 5 different languages. And I would love to welcome you to the second edition of The World in Our Words, which we have launched in March of 2026. This poetry book has 35 poets from all over the world, and it has 3 different languages. Now, I wanted to introduce you to these incredible poetry books, but I also wanted to talk to you a little about what happens in the background of these books. So yes, I'm the founder of these books, and I'm the person that organizes it, and I get them published and I get them into bookstores and all of that stuff. But what makes this poetry anthology special is that the poets themselves donate, as I donate my time. I don't get paid for this, but also the poets do. They donate their time for both of these books for them to come into fruition. So each book, one of the poets has done the cover, another poet has done the typesetting, another poet has done the editing, another poet has created the cover itself. And it is really special because it shows in the world that we currently live in that we can put down our ideologies, we can put down our political beliefs, we can put down our religious beliefs, we can put down all of our beliefs and come together to create a poetry book, a collaboration, a true representation of the word. And because it's international, it's not just Australian poets, it's also international poets. It shows that we can unify internationally. And at the core of this is that message, is that we are all human beings, that we all deserve to have respect, we all deserve to have a platform to be able to put our work in so people can read it. Now, the publishing industry is a very difficult industry. There is many gatekeepers, and there's many people that say no to poets. And I wanted to be the change in the publishing industry that was needed, where 35 people had yeses. Some are veteran poets, others are first-time poets. We have 3 young teenage poets in this book. And what it means is every single poet that is published, it's that nod, it's that verification that they do deserve to be heard, that their work is incredible and deserves to be published. It gives them platforms. We do spotlights every week of a different poet on our poetry page. And every time I can, I will get others to come in on any opportunity that I have offered to me, because it is important that I uplift just as much as I can, because it is difficult, as we know, in the arts and creative industry. And so my job, I see, is to ensure that every poet understands their worth, understands that their voice matters, and that they do deserve to be published. I also divvy up all of the royalties from every sale of the poetry books, and I divvy it up every 3 months, and I give that royalty back to the poets, which is just an unheard of thing. And I started it with this in the first edition in 2024, and I'm continuing it in the second edition. It's something that doesn't happen in the publishing industry and is very unique. And if anything, I am forcing the industry to have reflection and to value the poet's voice, and also to give them the money that they deserve, because everybody deserves to be paid for what they do and how they contribute to this world. So that's just a little bit of why this book is so special. It's also the first poetry book in the world that has multiple languages. And I wanted to celebrate all languages, because I feel that of coming from Australia, from an English-speaking country, that there is a real push that the only language that does exist is English. And I wanted to show and highlight, firstly, that there's other countries and other poets in different nationalities, different tongues, different languages that also create poetry, and they deserve just as much platform as anybody else. But I also wanted to show English-speaking people that there is a diversity in poets from around the world, and this is a celebration. This book, right, is a celebration of unity. It's a celebration of voices, and it's a celebration through poetry that we can actually showcase different languages. And when I first published The World in Our Words, I was told by an old white man that I would never sell a copy if it wasn't all in English. And we have just sold out the first print run of The World in Our Words 2. And we're halfway through the second print run sales of the second print run of the second book. Now, if that isn't showing validity that people do want to read different poets' work from different languages, from different places in the world, I don't know what is. So I'm also in both of the books. I'm also a poet. I have been a poet my whole life. I just didn't have the word for it when I was younger. And I strongly suggest that you buy this book, that you support by uplifting the poets in this book, by reaching out, by telling us what you think of the book when you read it. Like, it is very, very difficult for poets to get feedback. So we would love to hear from you. Now, going on from this, I wanted to just touch base and let you know that I have asked all the poets to send in some videos to let us know, let the world know what they think of the process of The World in Our Words 2 and the way that I published it, but also to give a little bit more context into who these poets are, because not everyone is going to be able to attend the launches that we have in Australia. So we've had one in Melbourne, we're going to have one on the 18th of April in Avid Reader in West End in Brisbane. We're going to have one on the 12th of April in Adelaide at Future Juice. And not everybody can, because it is an international book and the complexity is time zones. So I wanted to share with the world some insights from the poets who are contributors, and that is what you're about to watch. I hope you enjoy all of the insights and all of the beautiful words and the experiences and the poetry that all of the poets have put together that you're about to listen to. I really deeply, deeply appreciate you listening and understanding the depths of how important it is to have poets in the world. We do contribute to culture. And thank you so much from my heart and all of the other poets in this book for supporting us, for buying the book, for telling a friend about it, or for showing up, liking and commenting, giving us your reviews. I deeply appreciate you so much. So thank you, and here is to another incredible poetry book, The World in Our Words 2. Enjoy the poets.
Hi everybody, Essie Lynn coming to you from Canada. I sure wish I could be at the launch with you all, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Unfortunately, I'm thousands of miles away, but I thought I would do a poetry reading for you out of this fabulous book, The World in Our Words 2. I had the wonderful privilege of being a part of this experience with 35 other wonderfully talented authors around the world, and had the privilege of being the editor on this piece and on this anthology. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share one of the poems that I wrote that is within the book. It's called The Unspoken. Nobody talks about the aftermath, the paralyzing echo of silence. Nobody mentions the panic welling up like cold, muddy groundwater around her bare ankles, or the slow squeeze of unseen talons clutching her heart in the ache of not knowing what lies ahead. Nobody speaks of the cleanup, the careful hands gathering the shards of a shattered vase, a thing that no matter how tenderly mended never holds the same worth. Nobody warns of the rinse and repeat, the flashbacks stitched into every street, every song, every breath. Or the deafening drumbeat inside her, paralyzing on the worst of days. Nobody talks about the confusion, the erosion of all trust, the aching suspicion that all feeling itself might be lost forever. Instead, they call her difficult to love, too much work to hold. Yet she still bends to admire a tiny purple flower, boldly blooming through the fractured concrete, lifting its face to the sun. But nobody understands how hard it was for that little flower amidst the weeds to find a safe place to root. And maybe, just maybe, she thinks, I too will learn to love again. If a flower, untended, unloved, and alone, can break open the earth to find the light, then perhaps I can too. Thank you so much. And the next piece that I'd like to read is called The Painting. Like the fading smudges beneath my eyes, remnants of the last pale light of love, I thought. Bruised and gray, the clouds marked the sky's rosy cheek tonight, but the shadows of fingerprints on the soft flesh of my forearm did not float away, as clouds do. The canvas he had been working on hid no secrets, and it was not paint that trickled down her in a straight and steady line of metallic red. Like a sunset bleeds without drying, she looked up and wondered, in time, will I bleed dry and fade to black like this evening sky? Could his broad slashes of hurt and anger upon this canvas change to birds and simply take flight with a few soft brushstrokes? Or would the scars of careless words flung like droplets permanently stain? Lids closed, she wondered what he was trying to create. But she knew the picture he had painted was fine art born of hate. And so one more, if you don't mind. This was kind of one of the cathartic poems that I think quite a few people might be able to relate to. It's called The End. Today my life shifted with one little text. You decided to finally make me your ex. You've met someone else and started anew. It just kind of happened. I'm so happy for you. I wished you good luck and put down my cell. The news hit me strangely, part heaven, part hell. You were my person and my very best friend. We were there for each other right till the end. When someone is gone, it's different than dead, and all that remains are the words left unsaid. I loved you and hated all the things that you did. Your words full of cruelty still bounce round my head. I'll miss the feeling of my head on your chest, snuggled under your shoulder, having a rest. I won't miss the fighting, being crushed by the weight of the wounds from the past or your anger and hate. Seeping into my cells, bouncing round in my brain, on a cellular level, you transferred your pain. I tried to be kind, I tried to connect, but I felt so alone, an emotional wreck. Poisoned and sick, unsafe and sad. I've never loved anyone who hurt me that bad, and I know I did things to hurt you too. I tried everything to try to get through to the man I loved and thought I knew, but we live our lives in different ways. I knew that this love was so depraved. I always had one foot in the relationship grave, and I lost all hope for better days. I couldn't understand why I keep going back. Why we were magnets, repel and attract. I didn't want to be always the one who bore the brunt of your rage, never had any fun. We weren't on the same page. Your children, your dogs, strangers, and friends got treated like gold, while I got the you who was meant and hell-bent on suffocating my soul. On keeping me close by, dropping the crumbs, loving and charming, then distant and numb. So although today's news was ever so hard, I should send your new someone a thank you card. The truth is my freedom is worth more to me than a life with a man you will never be. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful launch. Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Hi, Shalina Lewis here, Jacqueline Lewis's daughter. This is my beautiful mum here. She is the poet. She has been able to get her poetry published in the World in Our Words poetry anthology. She's no longer with us, but her dream was to always have her poetry published. So I'm very proud and appreciative that they've been able to be published even though she's no longer with us. So I truly appreciate this opportunity. And she was in the first book as well, and now she's also in the second edition, the anthology of it. So that is amazing, and I'm so proud to be part of this, and thank you for everything.
Hello, my name is John Bartlett, and I'm very happy to be included in the anthology that's to be launched in Adelaide. And I'm from South Australia, so I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I can't. So perhaps I can read one of the poems in the collection. This title is Nature's Bonfire Burns On, which is a title taken from a Gerard Manley Hopkins poem. My poem is Sometimes the arching arrogance of sea waves astounds the mouth-frotted estuary, the mesh, the mix of sea's mastery, the lugworm braille on beaches, the grinding shrill of stars travelling, all that unbeautiful flame rage in treetops. We do know that sometimes earth's skin stretches, it breaks too, the wounding and the pain, but sometimes brokenness is just love's way of enduring. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bo Horton, and I'm a teacher, writer, and someone who has always been drawn to stories. Most of my days are spent in the classroom working with young people. I teach business, economics, and humanities, which might sound a world away from poetry, but teaching has actually shaped the way I write. Every day I see how people think, struggle, grow, and find their voice. That human experience is something I try to capture in my poetry and writing. Writing has always been a way for me to make sense of the world. Sometimes it's about the quiet moments that people often overlook. Other times it's about the heavy things we all carry, our identity, resilience, change, and the strange beauty that can exist in our difficult experiences and mind. A lot of my world and work explores contrasts, strength and vulnerability, chaos and calm, hope and doubt. I'm interested in the imperfect parts of our life, the parts that feel real and unfinished, because that's often where our most honest stories live. Outside of the classroom, I'm someone who is constantly creating, whether it's poetry, longer pieces of writing, or ideas for just my future projects. Storytelling is something I keep coming back to. It's how I process the world and how I connect with other people. This poetry collection is really a reflection of my own journey. It's a collection of my thoughts, moments, and emotions that have shaped who I am. My hope is that somewhere in these poems, readers might recognize a piece of their own story as well. Thank you for taking the time to listen and stepping into my words.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chantel, and I am a 15-year-old poet from Australia. And I am one of the poets in the World in Our Words 2 book. And I'm very happy and grateful to be a part of a project like this. Like, to be able to work with much more experienced and people who have been writing a lot longer than I have, but still, like, feel like I'm worth as much, if that makes sense. Like, that means a lot to me. And it was only 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago, when the first book came out, that someone asked me if I was intending to get published anytime soon. And one of my answers was that I don't think that was in the books for me. But here I am, I'm in a book. But I'm just going to be reading a poem to you from my section in the book called Troublesome Times. And yeah, I'm very grateful to be a part of something like this. So thank you. Wind whispers and whistles about glory days, trees trampling truly spoken words. Animals animated into answering machines, roads and rubble rain overhead. Television televised and content advised, telling the public's people what is and isn't lies. Books burning alongside broken bridges, rivers rushing through the fiery ridges. We cry over crisscrossed lines caused by grief and failed creation. Red roses dotted round and round in raging rushes causing mayhem. Bursts of balloons and bodies plenty, all bloody from bombs and hunts for bounty. Wars are waged with weapons won, death and drive unite only some. Feather fluff pillows faintly stained from torturous turmoil with nostalgic grain. Soul seekers search for simple answer inside individual crafted layers of plaster. Battleships bring beautiful bundles of bouquets, while weeping and wailing comes from families upstate. Banging and bashing binding brothers and sisters, stomping through storms with bleeding blisters. Young and youthful leaders yearning for change. Women wielding warnings, hoping for something in exchange. Nonsense words in mishmash lines, jumbled language laid out on signs. And that's one of my poems in the book. I hope that you read it, because it would mean a lot for someone else to read my work that isn't me, or like my mum, or my family, or my friends. It's really nice to be able to get it out there, but thank you for listening, and yeah, I guess that's all.
Hi, I'm Leon Ferranti, originally from Italy, but now in Australia. An immigrant, a stranger in a strange land. The creative work I do runs across many forms of art and also spoken and written word. Both my art and writing deal with human and environmental factors. Part of my art method includes words, paintings, installations and t-shirts that act as message sticks for protest. I sometimes place them secretly in a park or on the street. I believe we are the thermometers of events around us as our mercury responds to them. I'm so excited to be part of the World in Our Words #2 collaboration with a group of writers who express their feelings and bare their souls to us. Humans have feelings and we have a need to express them. Words come hard and so does creativity. But what are we meant to do? Should we lock these things away inside us and let them tear us apart? Or tell our stories, show our feelings, dare to be judged so others can see us and feel us without judging. It's wonderful to be showcasing this poetry collaboration and to see how an idea can manifest into reality. Stephanie Rowe has opened a door into a magic world of togetherness. People need people, and humans need to work together in communities. Hippies had the right idea.
Hi everyone, it's Jane Richards from South Queensferry in, for a change, sunny Scotland. So I thought I'd step outside just to take a quick video and say hello to you all. Thank you for celebrating the launch of The World in Our Words 2, which I'm so grateful to be a part of. I was one of the poets who were involved in the original The World in Our Words book, which was an incredible journey, and I'm so blessed and thankful to be a part of the second book as well. It's an incredible feeling to be a part of an anthology of work that spans the world, cultures, languages, socio-economic barriers, and bring together different themes. It's just incredible work by so many talented writers and artists for the cover. There's too many people to thank for me being a part of it, being able to have this opportunity, but certainly a big shout out in particular to Stephanie, who's managed to pull together between different time zones and different walks of life and everyone's busy lives, gather us all together into this one creative space, which is just truly incredible, and bringing these opportunities for people to become first-time authors, get their written word out. It's just such a magical, powerful journey that I'm so blessed to be a part of. I couldn't even describe it. And the fact that we've all come together agreeing on aspects like the covers and how things will be done. It's just amazing that everyone, over 30 people come together to just make one creative outlet such a beautiful, positive thing. And I hope it keeps going. I hope there are many more of these opportunities to come for writers and poets to express themselves. I've certainly done poetry this time that's based on sort of self-reflection and growth and finding oneself was my theme this time. The last book I wrote about sort of life growing up in Scotland for different people and different aspects, the good, the bad, the ugly. But in this case I wanted to sort of self-reflect sort of the darker aspects, but potentially of finding oneself, and it's not an easy journey, but well worth it, and it can be done. So that's a message I want to get across, and I really hope everyone loves the work. It's all absolutely incredible, and thank you again to everyone involved, and particularly the readers who have also, of course, made it happen by buying the book, sharing the love, and all the creative work that's gone into it. So thank you everyone, enjoy the launch, and I hope to speak to you all again soon. Bye bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Musa Babaya Jibril alias Abu Hanifa, a resident of Kabala Costin, Kaduna from Nigeria. I'm here to show my appreciation. I really feel honored to be part of the anthology, which is The World in Our Words too. The anthology is really great anthology, even by looking at the name of the anthology, as it said, The World in Our Words. People, the world will never wish to miss this kind of anthology, because when you read it, it will take you to places that you have never been to. You will see how their costume is, how the tribe is, and many more. That's why in the poem, there is one line poem that I say, "The herald hide his horn as Australia drip upon the wreckages of my heart," because the poems I submitted in the anthology, they are really great. It is poems that will remind you about something like genocide, about costume of some other peoples and the rest. Thank you so much. I really feel honored.
Hello, my name is Penny Silver, and I was one of the lucky poets to be chosen to be in this lovely, a wonderful anthology, The World in Our Words too. And I'm so happy to be a part of this project. And I'd just like to read you one of my poems from the book. The poem's called Questions. I have a lot of questions roaming through my head, lurking in the background until I go to bed, not sleeping as I contemplate and speculate instead, like what's at the end of the universe, and why is God a man? Why do pronouns matter, and what's my lifetime span? Why do people hate and kill, and what's the bigger plan? I have questions about racism and how that came to be. What is freedom? Why discriminate? What is wrong with being me? How come some folk are oh so smart but lack practicality? What's happening to the weather? What's the best that we can do? Is global warming irreversible? I'm getting quite a stew. Why do we cross our fingers and sometimes touch wood too? Why am I so fascinated in watching stories on true crime? When people see a mountain, why do they feel the urge to climb? What happens when we die? And why the phrase, "I'm killing time"? What makes some people vulnerable and others tough as nails? Why ignore the plight of children but fight to save the whales? Why do we bully and harass and ignore the justice scales? The questions remorselessly pounding on my poor deluded brain. I have no clever answers. Many more questions still remain. Probing and surrounding. I may never sleep again.
Hello, my name is Trinity, and I'm a poet from the United States. And being a part of The World in Our Words, Volume 2 has just been a phenomenal experience all the way around. Being able to connect with all of these other poets and writers from all other different areas of the world and just getting all of our works just to combine into one has just been so very beautiful. I believe that each of us are born and crafted from the same star. And even though that we're all separated by miles and miles apart, different cultures, different beliefs, different ways of lives, that all of the themes and emotions and just stories, they all kind of interconnect. We all experience the same things. We all have the same dreams in one way or another. And I think all of our differences come together in such a phenomenal way. And this book is an excellent example of that. To consider this my very first publication is the most beautiful thing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm so very honored to be able to be a part of something so beautiful. And thank you so much.
Hi from sunny Queensland, Rockhampton. I am Tarika Strudwick, a contributing author in both The World in Our Words 1 and 2. I've had the privilege of being a part of this project since 2024, and I am just so honored to be a part of this collaboration, to contribute many different things along the way behind the scenes. I've had the pleasure of proofreading this collection, which has just been an absolute honor. There's so many brilliant poets involved, and I've had many moments of just being, breathtaken by the power of the words that are written in this book, and I truly hope that you enjoy it as much as I have. I enjoy writing poetry. It makes sense for me to externalize the feelings that I have that are going through my mind, going through my world that I live in. I draw inspiration from nature and the internal landscape. So drawing parallels between the different parts of Australia that we get to live in. I've lived in very isolated communities and then very populated communities. So the inspiration for my poetry in this anthology was the difference that I found where I was living in, outback South Australia with hardly no people, and I felt this freedom and just this sense of peace. And then coming back to regional Queensland where there's lots of cars, lots of people, and there's, just this yearning for silence in me. So that's where.
Hi, my name is Naomi Harron and I am from Brisbane, Australia, and I'm a very, very lucky contributor of The World in Our Words 2. Now, I never thought that what I would write would ever be worthy of being published, mainly because it was something that I did on the side of my full-time study and my jobs as well. And so being a part of this project, of this collaboration, means a real great deal to me, because I'm able to be a part of something that is far bigger than myself. I am able to connect with writers, with people all around Australia and all around the world who have such diverse experiences and come from such diverse ways of living. And that is something that, like I said before, I never thought that I'd be given the opportunity to do. So I'm very, very thankful. And I think with the launch coming up, it still feels like a bit of a pinch me moment, because I don't know, I'm really at a loss for words, and I'm so thankful toward everyone who I've gotten to speak to and email as part of this project. Now, I do know that I am to read one of the poems that I contributed. So in total, I had 3. The first one I'll be speaking now, which is called Chobe or Choiva. And the other 2, which will be in the novel, are essentially about an experience with someone that was quite painful, but I tried to turn it into something quite beautiful and kind of reclaim it as my own experience. But the first one that I'll be reading now, this is essentially me speaking to my grandfather, my abuelo, my late grandfather, who passed away before I was born. And I really wish I could remember when I wrote this, but I wrote it many years ago. I wish I could remember the context as to why I wrote it, or where I was, or what happened before I wrote it, because I never got to know my grandfather, and I suppose this poem was a way for me to understand him, way for me to question a man that I've never known in my life, but who still holds such resonance within my family. Now, before I begin, I would like to say that chova, or choiva, it means rain in Gallego, and Gallego is the dialect from the north of Spain, from the province of Galicia. And not a lot of people know about Galicia in probably people outside of Spain, but it's known for its harsh climates. It can snow, but it's very cloudy and it rains a lot. And so I'll also be using Castellano terms like abuelo, which means grandfather, abuela, grandmother, and also tia, which means auntie in traditional Castellano, and also Lugo as well. And Lugo is a province in Galicia where my family no longer resides, but used to live. Choiva. I often think of what your hands would have been like, the same hands I touched whilst tickling the wood of your hut and the separated stone at my 3 years old. I often think of what your almost mauve hair would have felt like if I touched it when I was finally alive. Would you have whispered Gallego blessings into my ear whilst cradling my soft blonde curls? Or would you have sown seeds and planted grain in my name, hoping that I would one day too believe in the ways of Krishna, to validate those same hands that sunk into my mother, and her sister, Tia, and her mother, Abuela? I do not know much of you, Abuelo, but I do know this. Men are dangerous when they become dissatisfied, and when they believe it is safe to do so, they'll kick and cry like their baby daughters do. Their partners become filtered out by how much they begin to degrade like shells and sand do when under the great pressure of waves. Abuelo, you abused your manhood by marrying a girl who knew nothing of what it meant to move in and out of a man's gloom. I know you are not sorry, only regretful, because you have no control over people's perception of your life's narrative. You are a one-handed corpse in the ground, being rained upon by your gods. The choiva doesn't tickle, it hurts. The choiva doesn't heal, it waters. The only farm in Lugo you lay beneath. Thank you.
My name is Chrissy Grumbeck, and I'm really proud and excited to be included in The World in Our Words 2, the poetry anthology published by Stephanie Rowe. Really proud and really find it astonishing to be included with so many strong voices and part of something bigger than myself, and really happy to be able to put some of the feelings and stories from my life into a book that's going to exist for a long time and have it available to my boys to be able to read when they get older. One of the poems I'm going to read is one that is included in the anthology. It's called Worlds Away, and it's about one of my longest friendships that's really important to me. A friendship spanning so many years, an understanding of our quirks and our history. We grew from children into adults, each building a home, a family, a life filled with our own traditions. Still connected, despite distance, despite time, despite all the ways that we've changed. Grateful for each other, for always being there and knowing what to say in those moments, never hesitating to offer our time. Life keeps moving, but we still find each other in every chapter that matters. Every milestone still shared, even when we're not side by side. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Melanie Ayla Kalapi, and I'm coming to you from snowy Sweden. I'm in the church village of Bonstein, which was built in the early 1600s, so basically around the same time that Shakespeare was alive. People live here in the summer, but not in the winter for obvious reasons, such as poor insulation, lack of heating, that sort of thing. So I'm here to read you a poem I wrote about the Northern Lights. It's called Norsen, and I apologize if you're Swedish because my pronunciation is quite off, I'm sure. But the Northern Lights, when you see them in person, they don't look like the photos. They're moving. They move. It's like they're alive. So that's what my poem's about. Norsen. Keening howl of wolf winter, and colder than a witch's tit. Gloomy Arctic nights summon the blooming, luminous fringe of heaven, celestial wound lit from within, flashing and fading and then singing itself into shimmering crescendos of light. I don't know the science of souls, or even if they exist, but imagine they might be kept like this, before entering the body, contained in a mass of shifting green, lit against darkness. When I hold steady my phone to capture the scene, nothing but smudges of shadowed emerald appear on the screen, similar to the knees of denim blue jeans slid across grass, dark stain lacking, life force possessed by Norsen, which looks like first love feels. There's a thirst, you know, to hold things which can't be kept, to fashion hands into a net, dip them in the freshwater stream and lift mouth. Yet so much we desire slips between our fingers. The same trap is laid in poetry, mirror facing mirror, which shows only the heart's surface retold, both as near and far to truth as an arrow released from its bow.
Hi guys, I'm Agnieszka Agnes Makuk and I'm one of the poets in this wonderful The World in Our Words anthology, and I'm planning to read for you the poem called Breath. When you open the window, you're letting silence in. Somewhere in the Milky Way, stars are falling down, down, down. Unspoken words don't bother anymore. Questions about tomorrow don't worry anymore. Every breath, every touch, every moment puts me on the verge of reality. With eyes half open, I'm half dreaming of the time when time doesn't limit me and each breath can be shared. So I translated this poem into Polish and here it is. Oddech. Kiedy otwierasz okno, wpuszczasz ciszę. Gdzieś na drodze mlecznej spadają gwiazdy. Niewypowiedziane słowa już nie męczą. Pytania o jutro już nie martwią. Każdy oddech, każdy dotyk, każda chwila prowadzi mnie na krawędź rzeczywistości. Przez współotwarte oczy, wpół śnię o czasach, kiedy czas mnie nie ogranicza, a każdy oddech można dzielić. Dziękuję. Thank you.
Welcome back. And now how amazing was it to hear from all of those incredible poets? Honestly, it really does give a depth to this project, to the contributors, and how special and unique and important it is to have this book in the world published and in the hands of so many. I would like to invite you to come and support us through buying a copy. You can You can secure a copy by going to my website, www.mrsrowe.org/store. Alternatively, head to Facebook and go to the poetry page, The World in Our Words. Come and say hello, have a look at the spotlights. The poets that you've just listened to is just a snippet of the poets that are in this book. And you can tell how diverse the participants are and the poets and how incredible they are. So I deeply appreciate you listening. I deeply appreciate you sticking around, and I deeply appreciate you supporting us, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Much love from Steph Rowe and all the poets from all over the world, from the World in Our Words too.